39. Most historians' books are breathless admiration of war winners' military and political triumphs. Never mind their world-wrecking slaughters, setting up centuries to millennia's more hate and horror. Mighty men's, mighty armies, mighty arsenals. Never any moral of his story, only the original and enduring sarcastic lie. Might is right. Law of the male human predator's jungle, a billion times more evil than lions and tigers. Our kings kill or abuse our own entire species for utterly unnecessary power, money, pride, glory, and hate. Most authors' message is absolute war, absolutely unstoppable. Considering my absolute disinterest in any victim's revolt against the human horror story that sells my books. I do not cull the old war stories and today's media war reports to fashion more kill power master chronicles. My dad's and brother's dinner table talk concerned the 2 million Vietnamese bombed to death while our president, Congress, and army propped up South Vietnam's military dictatorship against cruel communist rebels and invaders with the advantage of 80% population support. We read the few books detailing the world abuse and further mortal threat of superpower conventional arms races and wars driving towards nuclear doomsday. We agreed that all that was wrong, tragic, and must be fought against in the political arena in support of our peace movement heroes, Senators J. William Fulbright and presidential candidates Eugene McCarthy and Robert F. Kennedy. They are long dead, as are their peace power goals. Quite modest hopes of electing good men and women to lead us away from power war corruption. I've abandoned, approaching 60 years now, any hope, without national and world legal revolution, of merely unusual leaders, peaceful decisions, and leadership. In 1967, 5,000 scientists gathered in Rome to doom humanity to triple Holocaust, 2025 to 2045, as overpopulation, environmental destruction, and nuclear war will finish us off because they assumed all humanities, along with their permanent disinterest in, if not inability, to solve the crises they gave us 60 years advance warning to work with. In 5 minutes, I knew my life's purpose. A swords into plowshares treaty. Ban the bomb and giant attack armies. Plow the savings into birth control and law and technology to reverse, not worsen, environmental damage. Then I sickened through 57 years of drug addiction, only researching the nuclear arms race, not hammering my treaty. Now, as I talk to you, I am dominated by my fury at war. Exploded by every vicious example I report to you, and demand that we enforce and add all law vital to stopping virtually all war. War fighters are motivated and empowered to drive us all to ultimate tragedy, enlisting every citizen, industry, and government power to keep them on top by theft and murder, until their every opportunity to illegally and legally gain power from crime against humanity is removed by law enforced. They will never stop selling and making war. 10,000 years, peace wimps never notice that their every "pretty please stop" is wasted breath. everyone else assumes that they cannot be stopped, which let's prove by not caring enough to try. Such passive surrender to the destroyers not only makes assuming asses of you and me, but quite soon dead ducks of us all. My purpose, my reason to be, is to describe how you can end war and save our world. I cannot be sure that you'll succeed, but I'm positive that you could make a fantastic try. So I'll never stop screaming for love, disarmament, and survival laws that you'd better jump on until and after World Murder Incorporated poisons my coffee. Because they're too stupid to bend and bang weapon assembly line machinery over to new water supply technology. FYI, the few disarmament planners' few books term industrial retooling from war to peace products conversion. Absolute power is not only absolutely corrupting, but has been for 10,000 years, over 400 generations, absolutely invincible. Warriors slaughtering all until frequently defeated and killed themselves, then war and tyranny domination of populations, businesses, and governments reigns immortal. But only up to the millionth of a second, when each of millions of lawless technoplanets followed hideous millennia's violent abuse with hydrogen bomb, murder, suicide. Winston Churchill's quote requires comment. The story of the human race is war. Except for brief and precarious interludes, there never has been peace in the world. And before history began, murderous strife was universal and unending. Churchill assumed all prehistory savage war uncivilization. Several unwritten record millennia's war-splintered skeleton confirmed. But investigators' reports of 2 million years heavenly peace before agriculture had yet to be learned and published. Churchill enthusiastically aided post-World War II ununited nations' domination by superpower nuclear kings and saboteurs. Upon denouncing war for his voters, he went right back to loving and flogging it. Another quote is revealing. Back in 1953, world nuclear terror forced even the greatest national instigator of the drive to doomsday to conduct a hearing about the only solution. Also strictly for PR, you'll understand. From a report of a panel of consultants on disarmament of the Secretary of State, quote, fundamentally, and in the long run, the problem which is posed by the release of atomic energy is a problem of the ability of the human race to govern itself without war. The context of this issue was conventional explosion of the Korean War, massive army face-off in Europe, uncontrolled commercial government explosion of the American weapons industry, and the hundreds toward thousands of hydrogen bombs U.S.-Soviet world death race. The problem stated more simply and honestly and completely, the timidly diplomatic report writers obviously quietly understood, as also revealed by the NNPT Treaty's commitment to universal and conventional disarmament. The truth, the huge attack armies and nuclear arms races continuation can only end humanity. Therefore, inability, or more accurately, unwillingness of human governments to clean up and govern themselves without the war business in charge 100% dooms us all. The truth, if not strongly and clearly, with the only survival agenda stated, pledged, planned, negotiated, adopted, enforced, and completed, was read by the Secretary of State boss, John Foster Dulles, who then promptly used it for toilet paper. For the next 8 nuclear and conventional world arms race years, he shrieked his world-famous massive retaliation. Russia had better not blitzkrieg Europe with their giant conventional army advantage, because as NATO troops reel back into the Atlantic Ocean, 100 million Russian civilians would burn in American nuclear bomb hell. So, of course, he also launched the conventional American World War industry perpetuation through the next dozen U.S. presidents, military governments, fueling 250 wars, killing 15 more million, mostly civilians, up until Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden are seconds from completing the result of human corrupt governments destroying the peaceful human race of citizen marks and victims, non-governing themselves and us with total war upon all 8 billion people to certainly kill us all. All slammed by John Foster Dulles and 1,000 other leaders, all fully informed. Everyone where arms races end, and therefore why disarmament? And why not? Just for the money, honey. A number of those leaders were sent clippings from 1950s American newspapers describing spaceships from a civilization obviously surviving millennia after nuclear suicidability that hovered over our missile silos and turned off the operator's launch controls to pantomime the single question: can you destroy weapons of mass destruction? Because and before you must know they will very soon destroy you. Of course you can. We're only here because we did. But no one ever pushed away, eschewed, denied themselves the money and ego aphrodisiac of total power, total addiction. You legally take that one thing away from them to save every child. They'll thank and indeed help us later. I'm convinced that a great citizens' movement to constrain and lead leaders can end war, because weaponeers and politicians' conspiracy is more illegal than complex. Fully against magnificent law that family caretakers enforce on themselves and their children, that are all equal in opportunity. Muscular male may not bully weaker female. Adopted, not inferior to bio child. Different ability and style, equal in regard and help. Distress of any, the concern of all. Make each child's health and learning grow to someday love mate and your own children equally well. And no weapons other than one safely guarded hedge against criminal attack are allowed family members, lest misuse seriously injure someone. Never steal from or otherwise harm anyone. Now that we've gone over family peace and democracy government, fully allowed and enforced on all except safety supervision of the very young, exactly why do we allow but ignore our power governments savaging our laws for nothing but soon fatal harm to everyone? Also against our founders' every democratic, minimum military peace, equality, and well-being law. Because we cannot be troubled a single minute to ask, Why doesn't 10,000 years of leaving the drive-in to robbing Warren jackals for the predictable results teach us true human family rulers and caretakers to take public charge? We've got all love, habit, and training. They're fully addicted to business government corruption. They cannot self-rule, as Thomas Jefferson told us that we must. Now on and on I go, 24 hours, 500,000 word detail, not stopping anytime soon. Hear everyone, but right now, burn just 2 words into your salvation agenda. You sue in federal and international courts. Okay, that's 7 words. Law, make it, enforce it. Some uncorrupted judges have power to make executives and legislators protect human life. You'll make them do little until your love candidates threaten to unseat them. Then both candidates will compete to empower and help us. But what does government do now, including many business-bought judges? Support weaponeer bribery of leaders to give them our taxes for terminal war. Their campaign cash buys patriotic war propaganda that elects 96% of captured incumbents in most big war power governments. All disarmament treaties signed and ratified just to be fully abrogated. Nations of brainwashed to ruinous war sheep never notice a thing amiss. They will again recognize their own family danger and interests, but only after you and all you can recruit to the cause outlaw every bit or mountain of cash privately paid to politicians for every murderous quid pro quo. Indeed, genocidal weapons and attack army funding. Force courts to enforce your nation's disarmament treaty. Grow a peace movement to elect anti-war leaders who will finish our world-love job we have started. Public campaign-financed equal-time media political argument will strengthen peace and survival candidates to compete successfully with incumbents who can only attempt defense of their corruption, wars, and neglect of our survival crises and needs. This ain't rocket science. No, just peace and new water supply law. I got all your details. Your world treaty and world school collaborations will soon enough retire my fumbling start. But hey, I tried. Next, teach me. Let me summarize your weapon-destroying, peace-winning strategy. 1. Ask the bribing, weapon-selling and buying, war-pounding leaders to pretty please stop. And their answer for the 10,000th year, F no. Fine. Expected that. See you in court. Worldwide, pound the movement, convince the electorate, win those peace laws in courts and cleaned up Congresses where you win enough seats to ratify our best treaties and pass our strongest survival laws. Got that? Good. Get cracking. Listen to me. Not a minute longer than necessary to melt your stony heart, set it afire, and blow you off the couch to your world-saving mission. For now, I got you until I don't. Do I go out with a whimper or a bang? Well, how restrained, reserved, and diplomatic can a guy be who burns out of control with terrible apocalyptic fear and blooming hope? So I'm raising hell and heaven. Buckle up.